Yep, nothing too surprising about that there. Especially given the fact that there's such a commanding lead now on Run It Down Mid. There's not much that Blackfire Gaming can do in order to come back from this. If there, I mean, even if there was, their win condition is so reliant and complex on multiple parts that it's not looking likely. But hey, anything can happen, especially in League of Legends. So we'll have to see exactly what they do to kind of formulate a plan and maybe put a little bit of fight back into their step and get things going there.
As we catch up the stream, Run Down Mid, just looking to, there's not much left to say because Run Down Mid just deciding to not let this pressure up at all. What I said beforehand about that Syndra being able to take down the Xayah doesn't even seem like a dream anymore for Blackfire Gaming. Syndra's just looking to stay alive at this point, rather than go for that assassination.
Yeah, and that's just the relentless pursuit of all the tanks here on Run It Down Mid. Syndra, despite being, a very strong burst caster there, very, very, very unlikely to survive one salvo of crowd control here from the Run It Down Mid team, leaving nothing but Tristana left to kind of shoot hot shots at the full frontal tank front line.
Ooh, you see Elastic Slingshot and Nature's Grasp used just for a little bit of disengage, just a little bit for zoning. Elastic Slingshot goes in the second time. This time hits onto the Syndra and to Zac. Zac bouncing the Sion back in. However, Sion is not who we want to pick. One man knock up from the Yo's entrance. Janet just dies off the backside. Blakeholder used to Featherstorm used, however, to keep that Xayah alive. Xayah taking some damage from the Sion. Getting a little bit low there. Cho'Gath looks to finish her off. Gets that Rupture, hits nobody, and the Inhibitor turret goes down. Inhibitor follows suit.
Yep, and there it is. Just unrelenting power of these tanks all in your face, juggling the tower.
Yeah,
and
even
I mean,
a
it's
tank like Cho'Gath
not
has
much
to
you
be
can do.
afraid. Even if you're a tanky as a Cho'Gath, you still have to be afraid when that CC gets onto you, because once that CC gets onto you, it won't stop.
Yeah, it has to be completely demoralizing there for excuse me, Blackfire Gaming, especially on the role of a tank like the Cho'Gath and the Sion, to see everybody around you kind of falling, and you're left alive simply because you have more health than everyone else. So I don't know. What do you think they can do to kind of get back into this game? Right now, it's looking pretty commanding. 7-1 towers, 17-3 kills, 48.7k gold to 37.
This is definitely a really dire spot, I have to say, for BFG. I mean, considering the fact that the Galio is going AP, once you take down that Xayah, it's not like the damage just stopped. The damage train keeps going.
Yeah, even if you could get to the Xayah there with her ultimate, and she says flash up from the last fight.
Getting to the Xayah will be a hard enough test as it is. A little bit of damage down onto Maokai. This Maokai does not have a Warmog, so I'm gonna have a little bit of trouble getting that health back. Nature Trap's coming down for zoning. Everybody backs right out of that. But tanks decide not to let a level onslaught come in. A two-man taunts coming out from the side of Galio, looking to. It seems as though the side of Run Down Mid aren't actually looking for full engages. Looking to, pressure enough. Put enough pressure down for Blackfire Gaming to just back up themselves. Blackfire Gaming might have found their footing, might have found their courage here. Decide to make this stand, as if they do not make their stand here, they might not be able to as well. Run Down and decide to back off, maybe take the dragon, an ocean dragon coming up in 20 seconds.
Yeah, just being slow and methodical with it. They've already broken into the base on the right side, the bot side there, so...
Flash coming out on the Cho'Gath. The Cho'Gath just dies, a little bit out of position, but this Zac might follow suit. However, Hero's entrance keeps that Zac alive just barely with that damage reduction. I believe that Zac still had Soul Division, so he would have been fine. Regardless, Janet tries her best to keep this turret alive. But her best is not enough. Like a paper house in a windstorm, if that is even an analogy that people use.
I don't think it is, but it works here.
It's not, but if it is, this is what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're probably going to go ahead and go down and get the dragon, while the poor Blackfire Gaming team has to go ahead and lick their wounds, try to address their base to prevent any minions from coming in, snatching up their towers. I mean, it's just slow, methodical play here for running down mid. They're probably going to head top next just to take the last tower there, grab Baron, and end the game off of that. Unless Blackfire Gaming can go ahead and get that steal in, I don't really see a way for them to go ahead and pull this game out.
Yeah, this steal would be very difficult, as Cho'Gath had decided to just use his Feaster on a minion, get the stack of Feast down. So, however, he will have that Feast back up by the time Baron spawns. He will have that Feast, he will have that Smites. He might go for the steal this time with that 1000 true damage. A cancel teleport coming out from that Scion decides better to not teleport into 5 members. It's not a good idea to just face check into 5 tanks. 4 tanks.
Definitely a wise decision there to cancel that.
Ooh, and Elastic Signature on Tristan. Tristan is caught. She flashes out, gets the rocket jump, she makes it out. Blast Cone knocks away all members of Rundown mid. Nature Scraps coming down. Those roots will get the Tristana in the end. Jan dies as well. Onslaught makes it a little bit too short. Cannot drift his way around those walls. And the Slingshot goes back onto Scion. Zac ultimates hitting no one, so to speak. And a Blade Caller comes down onto a fellow. Ends up dying. Almost kills Zac in the end with that feast. Lives with just a sliver of health.
Yeah, and just the amount of damage there coming out from one of the single auto attacks coming out from Xayah there, chunking Tristana's health about a 1/5 each time.
Yeah, 3.5 items. There's nothing to sniff at. They just complete that wall of inhibitors. 2 super minions in each lane. We might not see very many super minions as Rundown Mid decide to just end the game here. They're looking to keep the pressure up. Zac just running it down. Their name is becoming more and more, applicable here.
Fitting. Yeah, fitting. Gonna go ahead and take out the last inhibitor here. Continue on the towers. It's just like I was saying before, a really methodical play from Run It Down mid, making sure that every advantage that they could possibly have, sans Baron, in that particular moment was applied. And it looks like they're going to go and grab Baron, and then it'll probably back the reset, and they'll make the final charge into the base here.
Cho'Gath looking to get something down. His Spidey senses are going off. His Void senses drops that ward, knows that Baron is being taken, drops multiple wards. Perhaps more wards than Rundown Mid are able to take down, but they're turning onto this Cho'Gath, trying to take him down before the Baron goes down. Cho'Gath decides to flash in as one last desperation play, but is not able to get in range for that feast. Smites from the Zac goes to Rundown Mid. Not quite sure what I'm saying here. Yellow clearing out those wards. Gotta get, gold advantage where you can.
Yep, and that's a lot of gold, excess gold, just sitting in that Baron pit there.
That's a lot of wards, definitely.
Just gonna grab some of that money.
Yeah, and that money is growing even higher. 14k gold lead might just be our final numbers as Rundown Mid decided not to reset the side, just keep going, and the Stretching Strikes hits 2 members of Blackfire Gaming, and the Hero's Entrance Tower not follow up in time. Alistair Heckle pulverized 2 members, Zanya for Syndra, but Zanya's into a taunt. There's a dead Syndra, that is a dead Scion, and there's a dead base. And as Lord O kites away from this Scion, as you see, the super minions just going everywhere. We're gonna see first game going over to Rundown Mid.
That's just kind of crazy to watch those team fights where it's just you have one murder ball of tanks with a colossal amount of crowd control, dipping from champion to champion to champion. It's just not. It's insurmountable. It's just all it is. You can't. There's not much you can do about that, especially as a burst champion such as Syndra. Logically, Tristana should be able to deal with it, but when she got as far behind as she did, it becomes very difficult for her to actually do anything in the late game, especially against people who are really far ahead of her as far as items go. So
It did so. We saw some great play.
commanding lead there from Run It Down Mid that they went ahead and turned into a victory. My only thing that I say that need to work on is the Zac needs to work on getting better ultimates and grabbing those, the more important carries and bouncing them out as opposed to straight up missing or bouncing out somebody like the Cyan or the Cho'Gath, which ended up working out because they were so far ahead. But if the next game is closer, then could actually end up working against them. And I think that's pretty much it. I mean, it was just such a commanding lead that I think the next game, Blackfire Gaming kind of needs to change up whatever style they've been going for and see if they can pull something out of their pockets for the next one.
Run down mid. Played their team comp very well. Knew exactly when they had to do what they had to do, when they had to do it. And just overall clean play. Now, not to disparage what that Zac did in the early game, what he did was what was needed to get his team ahead. And now Run Down Mid are just one game up.
I mean, the Zac still ended the game with 15 assists. So that was the same amount that the Alistar had. So he was definitely in there and part of the destruction for sure. But I think the only fine attunement that I could find was maybe land some better ults, and that was pretty much it.
Yep. Now, as teams get ready for the second game, we will be taking a quick break. But we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Alright, thank you for staying with us. We are back after a short break from our first game between Rundown Mid and Blackfire Gaming. Now, for those of you who weren't able to tune in, first game went over to Rundown Mid. So it's up to Blackfire Gaming in order to, bring it back, or else Rundown Mid will close out the series. We go quickly over into pick and bans. Sides are switched. Blackfire Gaming goes over to the blue side, while Rundown Mid are now on red side. Quick bans coming out. This time, Blackfire Gaming banning out the RDM Kled, same as last time. Target bans, and RDM doing the same thing, Nar and Caitlyn. Blackfire Gaming do switch up this time though, banning out that Galio that was so pressure, just had so much pressure in all points of the game. And Rundown Mid responding with that Zac ban of their own. They don't want to give that over to Blackfire Gaming as the priority pick.
Uh-oh. But they completely forgot about the Azir.
That is true. Banning out that Zac, they had to leave that Azir open and Blackfire Gaming go for that first Azir. Without the Galio though, I'm not sure if Rundown Mid are able to run the same comp that they did last time. They might. They're still going for the Alistar though. Alistar, very powerful meta pick right now, even as he is. And picking up the Syndra for themselves. That's something I did not expect to see coming out from the side of Rundown Mid. This Syndra pickup could be very powerful, or it could go like it went last game for Blackfire Gaming. And this Syndra is Azir matchup.
The Syndra into Azir. Syndra's kind of a longer range mage, so as long as she gets down the QE and stuns him from afar, she can walk up for a free QW. She is going to take a lot of damage from the Azir soldiers as she walks out, but I feel like she wins that early, but as soon as Azir gets to level 6, it's going to be hard for her to kind of keep up with the soldier damage.
That's true. And once we scroll into mid game and late game when teams are grouped together, this Tom Kench will be there to stop anybody that Syndra is ulting, that Devourer completely negating any sort of engage that Rundown Mid might go for. Or they pick up Sejuani for themselves. Sejuani, very good pickup. A very powerful jungler at all points in the game.
Yeah, the Tom Kent's just a really, really good pickup against the Syndra there. Not that they necessarily had an issue against her before, um, but we'll see if she can do anything. She is on the side and run it down mid this time, so perhaps that will be. We'll see a little bit of change in play style there, and maybe she'll be more effective. But against the two tanks in the front line so far, not so much.
All right, we have two second wave of bans coming out. Blackfire Gaming looking to pick up a AD carry and a top lane. So, in response, RDM bans out that Tristana. Don't want a hard scaling AD carry against them this time, and bans out Kog'Maw as well. So both AD carry target bans wants to give this Varus an easier time in the game. Now RDM have to pick a top lane and a jungler, so BFG come out with a Maokai and Kayn ban, one for each. Kayn looking to be more of a target ban than anything. Maokai did quite a bit of work last game as well.
Oh, I love banning Kayn. Brings me such joy.
Alright, so it's up to us to see what's run down mid pick instead. Ooh, now that is something. Nautilus is not a champion that we have seen in a long time.
I like Nautilus. Nautilus is actually, I consider him kind of like an Alistar version 2. In fact, I had a running joke with one of my buddies who plays support that Nautilus is the best champ in the game. Just because he has so much CC and so much perseverance. It's now
I did read the statistic. This statistic was from 2 years ago, so I'm not sure if it still holds true. Nautilus is the only champion in the game with 4 forms of CC. Every other champion has 3 or less. Nautilus has a slow from his E, a roots on his passive, a pull on his Q, and a knockup on his ultimate.
Yep.
So Nautilus just so effective. But Nautilus, it's not like this will be a Nautilus support. Nautilus will be in the top lane versus Yorick. As will be a difficult lane for this Nautilus to keep up in. Ashe picked out for a side of Blackfire Gaming, so they're looking for that heavy sustained game team fight here. Azir, Yorick, Ashe, all heavy sustained champions. Heavy sustained damage champions, rather.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with the Ashe AD carry, especially against the Varus, which pretty much does the same exact thing as she does, just a little bit better. And Ashe isn't exactly in the best spot right now, but if you can play her, you can kite. It's going to be difficult for you to do anything against a Nautilus or a Warwick or an Alistar. There's just almost no kiting involved there because they're going to be on top of you pretty much the whole time.
I do like this idea that RDM are coming out with, though. They're saying that Tahm Kench, you may be able to devour one champion, but we have 3, 4 ultimates that you have to dodge. You know?
Yeah.
You have to dodge through the Syndra spheres, the Nautilus, everything, the Warwick ultimate.
Yep, that's a lot. Yeah. Which Tom is very good. I mean, could potentially save somebody from multiple of those ultimates at the same time, but
definitely RDM will have to coordinate very well in order to just keep everybody on Blackfire Gaming locked down.
Interesting, the bans here, actually Zoe was banned, but that was not a registered ban on the...
Yeah, I mean, I do have to admit, with my team I do that too. We go through the formalities in pro draft, but in pick ban we end up spelling words with our bans.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting. You go meta.
Yeah, we go full on meta.
That's one way to do it, I suppose. I still think that the idea that we came up with last time, where you just pick alphanumeric champions in order until you get to somebody you're not supposed to ban, and then skip them and go to the next one to make it faster. But
that does work out. I've seen some teams do that just to make it faster. And well, at the end, it doesn't matter. Teams are allowed to do whatever they want when it comes to bans in this. So these lane matchups, I really want to talk about this bot lane again, because as we saw in the first game, bot lane was really where all started for a run down mid. And with that Tahm Kench, it'll be The disengage coming out from Tahm Kench isn't exactly the same as the one from a Janna, and I think Tahm Kench might work out better for them this time than a Janna will.
Yeah, Tom is definitely more in line with the supports that are. Actually, I'd probably petition to say that Tahm Kench is the best support in the game right now.
Ooh.
Followed closely by Alistar, which is on the other side of Run It Down mid there. So, I mean, potentially you have the best support against the second best support, and I think he's the best support for a reason. He could, I mean, you pulverize, headbutt pulverize Ashe. You don't get any subsequent damage on that because Tahm Kench just devours them, runs away, resets the fight.
Yeah.
Same thing could be said about ganks as well, because you devour your ADC, you get the additional movement speed, and then you're just out of there. Nobody can catch up to you. My buddy, in particular, the one I was talking about earlier, he'll use the AD carry as bait a little bit to get the CC effects out, and then he'll pick them up and they'll just walk out of there. You know, there's so many different ways that you can use Tom to mitigate crowd control, and it's difficult to get a game down on a Tahm Kench lane. Let's just put it that way.
Definitely, Tahm Kench able to just do all sorts of little fancy tricks. He is like a trickster. Well, I can't say he's like a trickster. That makes him like Fizz.
Right.
That'd be a very fat Fizz.
He's more of a river freshwater type.
Freshwater type.
You know?
Yeah.
So maybe a trickster of the river.
Yeah, he is a catfish, I believe.
Yeah, catfish. They love mud and fresh water, so there are saltwater catfish, I think. But
I've seen pictures of those catfish. You know, the really big 400-pound ones.
Yeah,
they kind of do look like Tahm Kench a little bit.
Yeah, they're just missing that little gold manacle on the end of his stinger there, I guess.
A little bit of a top hat too.
No. They come with top hats.
They come with. Oh, that is true. They come with top hats.
Yeah.
Complimentary
it's
hats.
They probably took it off in the picture, but they come with top hats.
To anybody that managed to catch a 400-pound catfish.
And please confirm top hat status in the chat.
Alright. So we went through bot lane. Looks like this Tahm Kench. It's kind of like how it went in the last game, wasn't it? Where it was really crucial for the Janna in order to keep the game flowing for Blackfire Gaming, and she wasn't really up to the task. We'll have to see if Janna will be able to.
Yeah, and I also noticed here while we're sitting here looking, waiting for the spectator delay to go away, we do have some summoner spell change up. The support on the side of Blackfire Gaming deciding to go for the exhaust this time instead of the ignite, and then we have a cleanse on the Syndra. It's actually pretty interesting, almost purely to protect against the Sejuani ults, as they don't really affect anything else.
I believe you can cleanse your way out of the mouth of a catfish.
Nope. No.
That is,
despite how dirty it is, you just can't cleanse enough.
Yeah, you can't clean it up. It's too dirty.
We do have a member of the chat, Verdai, saying yes, there are in fact top hats on catfish.
That is true. Now, it's interesting why the Tahm Kench took the exhaust this time. Last time, I see the idea of why he's taking exhaust, because last time he died so fast that he didn't even have time to change his summoner spell. However, he was on a champion that was squished by 300 or so health points at that stage of the game. And of course he's going to have his thick skin this time. He's going to have his second life. So I'm not sure if the exhaust is so much needed as it was last game.
Right, and this is a champion that you would have probably wanted to pick Ignite on, so got the summoner spells a little bit reversed here, but
yeah, definitely still has the Alistar, still has that Warwick, champions that could just sustain for quite a long time.
The only person you could potentially put that on to do enough mitigation is Syndra, which, I mean, it could work out depending on how Loco Express plays the Tahm Kench. He might be in the back line trying to get to that Syndra and trying to devour her instead of necessarily helping the Ashe out. So
for sure,
could be effective to have the exhaust on him if that's his plan, but At the same time, if you do that, the Ashe is it's pretty much left out in the open. I mean, Warwick, Nautilus, Varus, even Alistar. That's a lot of people to go on to the Ashe, especially with no escape other than Flash.
Right, and we're closing in on the Spectre delay, soon to be loading, and we will hit you up with those keystones. Let's also note that Azir took the teleport. Azir is a champion that does not usually go spellbook, unsealed spellbook, so he might just be stuck with that teleport and not go for the, and there it is, he has taken comment, he will be stuck with that teleport, so not really going for a pressured lane, looking to just farm up, get a little bit further.
Yeah. It would appear that something is wrong with my spectate.
Alright, well, we do have the summoner spells coming out, keystones rather, and it will be pretty standard keystones on both sides. Save for a few to note, we do see a unsealed spellbook on the side of the Sejuani on a jungler, and we also see a Predator not on the Warwick. Now Predator, you do take Predator on Warwick, however Predator is not a keystone that you see very often.
Yeah, but on the Warwick especially is actually very, very good, just because you activate your W, which I believe is still called Blood Hunt, and then you run at about 5,000 move speed ahead into the enemy team.
Yep. And if they're able to run ahead and just catch down that Ashe, you know, you'll be able to catch down before that catfish can get to her. We'll see if this Warwick is able to just make the plays early enough. It is. We do have to know that each lane has a good escape move from the Warwick in the early game. Yorick can just lock up the Warwick away using that dark position, a little bit of Ring of Ghouls. Azir of course can just stream a shift away, and bot lane has that Tonk Edge.
No dinner for you tonight.
However, we do have something interesting coming out from this side of both sides. Actually, they are both deciding to go from the bot lane. Neither team looking to go for that top lane start with the early game level 3 gank and the bot lane, and we do have a pause coming in already.
Good old pause. Nothing more interesting than a pause. I do like how the screen turns sepia tone. Still makes everything look nice and brazen, if you will.
I'll let you know exactly what the state of the game is. However, this time the pause comes out of the side of run it down mid, not from the side of Blackfire Gaming. Blackfire Gaming seems to have fixed most or hopefully all of their issues.
We hope so. It looks like the Warwick was the one to actually disconnect there. Hopefully it's nothing too terrible that they'll have to deal with in the game.
Looks like the Warwick should be back. Hopefully his internet is fixed and we can resume soon enough. And pretty standard starting items from both sides. Nothing much to note.
Oh, and we are back in.
I do want to talk about this more because this is most likely, no, this has got to be the most unique, interesting pick coming out here. Yorick, of course, is unique in his own right. However, his playstyle is pretty one-directional, where you just go for split push. His Yorick, however, can do multiple different things depending on how he decides to play it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest surprise, I guess I could say, is the Yorick for sure. Second place going to the Ashe there, because she is not necessarily within the top 5 AD carries in my opinion.
True, we haven't seen Ashe in a while.
But I mean, all the lanes seem to be going pretty close to how we expected to go. Little
And we do have a little
down
gank coming in from
top
Yorick.
lane
Yorick
here.
has that Primal Howl, fears away both the Yorick and the Sejuani. Yorick dying instead, not able to get the Permafrost down. Oh my god, and the burst damage just comes out from the Yorick. From the Warwick. Those champions do rhyme, so it's hard to, it's easy to mix them up. That was a very good gank, counter gank coming in from the Warwick. Couldn't even call that out.
Yeah, but Tyrant Rex definitely did a good job there of getting in and positioning himself to a point where he was between the tower and the other champion, the Nautilus.
That's good positioning, so if Sejuani does decide to use that dash, I should just dash straight into the waiting jaws of the Warwick, and the jaws come down onto Azir. No, we do know wolves eat birds, and this wolf, decided not to go too far. Does not have flash. Cinder decided not to go in either, as she was low on mana and cooldowns.
At that point, if you're going to go ahead and blow the flash, at least commit. At least that's how I feel about it. Even if you die to the tower there, you already blew the flash. Might as well at least try to get the kill. But you know, I'm more of an aggressive guy.
This game is still going a lot like the first game, where the jungler on the side of Rundown Mid is actually a lot more proactive, and he's able to just be where he needs to be all the time.
Yeah, Run It Down Mid is doing a really good job of just consistent play, I think. More or less what it boils down to, especially if you're going to be playing games like this competitively with pre-stocked teams and players that you can practice with. Consistent play is what's going to win you games more often than not.
So they should be used to this style of play. Now I'd like to note that both those ganks coming out from Warwick early game, he hasn't backed for, I don't believe he backed for before either of those ganks, so he did all that without Keystone, without that Predator being available to him. Now with the Predator available, I'm excited to see what he's able to pull out.
Definitely going to be fun to watch him zoom into lanes here. Kind of like a Rammus situation, you know? Rammus comes out of nowhere, just blows past any wards, and
Oh my god.
surprise, he's in the lane.
That is a terrifying thought. Imagine if Rammus had, claws and a huge gaping jaw full of fangs.
Yeah. I don't actually want to imagine that at all, because I won't sleep tonight.
That is... Imagine if Rammus had a mouth.
Another gank up top here, but it looks like York's going to go ahead and blow the flash to get out of that one.
Yeah, good low flash. With his dark position being down, he was forced to use it. It seems like this time the bot lane, with the help of the Tompkins, is going much more in favor of Blackfire Gaming. It seems to be a skirmish up top, however. Both this Warwick looking to put pressure onto Sejuani and pressure out of the jungle.
Yep. I mean, it looks like the Blackfire game is having an easier time farm here, but they are still behind about 10 CS total in the lane.
That's true.
And they are actually pushing in into the face of Run It Down Mid. So that CS lead is only going to get higher and higher and higher as they catch up, as the minions hit the tower.
Yeah. Lord,
So in effect, and you can see Vera's pulling ahead here. They're about 20 CS ahead overall, which is, it's again not too hard to overcome, but at the same time, it's not something that you want to necessarily handicap yourself with, especially this early at 7 minutes.
Thank you. Yeah, for sure. And it may be a small thing, but we did see that Warwick pressuring the Sejuani off of her Grump. That's more about the implication behind the taking of the Grump rather than actually taking him. Sejuani being forced out of her own jungle early, Warwick with that early Tiamat doing a lot of damage. And His Predator boots will come off cooldown shortly, I believe in about 20 seconds, so he'll be free to make another gank. And he is level 6 as well.
Yeah, it's gonna definitely be some devastating ganks coming out from the Warwick here soon, who is also quite ahead. And there's kind of the EQ special I was talking about there. She did walk into some free damage, Syndra did, but that's basically what she needs to do on repeat if she wants to beat Azir at this point, because he can just pretty much dive into her, and I'll put her position and
Yeah,
put her in a
once
bad
Syndra gets her
spot.
combo down, she loses so much consistent damage. You know, Azir will be able to just keep on laying down soldiers, keep laying down the pain. Alistair goes in for the headbutt pulverize, and just
there
as
it
we
is.
said,
Just picked him up, picked her up,
one well timed devour.
and then here comes the Warwick top lane.
There is no more devour. Arrow force out of both sides, and it's just a duel between the 80 carries here. Warwick on the top lane taking down the York. We did not see in the back lane, but this Alistair was able to finish off the Ashe. Considering incoming forces to flash out Alistair. There's two consume marks on both sides, never mind. And 2 to 8 carries still being alive on side of run down mid. Blackfire game are just forced to back off. Have to call it quits.
Yeah, but the ultimate from Sejuani actually did come out there onto the Varus, who ended up flashing and healing away, but the damage on the side of Blackfire Gaming just was not there to kind of commit to the gank and continue on the fight. And run it down mid just end up picking up the top tower for their trouble, which is an additional global gold here to kind of continue the pattern of pulling into the lead, which they're already 4k ahead. And it's going to be a tower dive.
That's infinite duress. However, that was great timed. Emperor's Divide was not enough. Emperor's Divide can stop chains, but can't stop balls flying into your face from across the map.
Not much can. Not much can. You just got to stay out of sticky position, man.
Yeah.
But either way, the Syndra actually did end up going down to the Azir there, and Warwick is cut out in a pretty bad spot.
Did not notice that work. Should not be able to get out of here. There are 2 stacks, 3 stacks to devour, and that will be a dead Warwick. Spits him out, spits out the bones of the wolf. And in the end, actually goes over to the side of Blackfire Gaming. That was a 2-for-1.
Yeah, it's definitely a misplay there by the Warwick in the end. Could have kept it even by all means, 1-for-1. The Syndra taking way too many tower shots after getting pushed back by the Azir wall. But sometimes you have to make those trades. However, the Warwick getting caught at the Wolves situation, as much as you want to see your family members, sometimes you just gotta call them from afar.
That's true. I do have to note, I don't know enough about Warwick to understand this, but the Cinder Hulk coming out of the jungle item is quite interesting to me. I'm not sure if this Warwick if that's the correct build. Old school wise, we see Warwick going for Warrior or even the Blood Razor one.
Yeah. Cinder Hulk actually does scale with
That was a
Warwick
great
if you
time
decide to go Titanic Hydra.
That's true.
So I imagine he's going to be build Titanic Hydra into this. And
But Warwick decides to go back in, hits the Infinite Duress onto the Citron and Surge on his tank. He still finishes him off with that last fight, but trades himself in exchange. Made in the miss doing some work on this tower. First tower already went over the side of Rundown mid, so in the end it's just a trade of top towers in the end. Devouring the Ashe off the side. And we have the Chains of Corruption onto this. Tom Kench pops the thick skin and just stave off some of that damage.
definitely very greedy by Warwick here. And that's definitely a trap you can fall into, especially with how strong Warwick is early. And even into the mid and late game. He kind of keeps his power throughout the entire game, finally falling out in late game.
Yep.
But yeah, you can. I mean, you can get a little bit. You can see the excuse me, the chunkage coming out from your damage, and you get a little too overzealous.
Oh, and we see Sejuani looking to start off this dragon here. Tom Ketch putting down some wards, zoning away this run down mid. And not sure if this Warwick will make it here in time, especially with the Zeros coming down. Syndra's not there to follow up. Warwick looking for something here, but will not be able to get there in time. Decides to just walk away.
Yep, and he saw
And
it
Dragon
coming.
goes over to the side of Rundown Blackfire Game. Next Dragon will be in Inferno.
And that's definitely one that you're going to want to get on both sides here. Helps substantially in all forms of damage.
And this I have the notes, even if these fights have gone more to the side of Blackfire Gaming, I think that's, not going to go through math here, but Rundown mid will still be ahead in gold. Their only CS deficit is in top lane, mid lane, 20 CS lead, bot lane, 40 CS lead already at 13 minutes. Lord keeping up with that 10 CS per minute through all this, already has a Gwynsu's. As we see the enchanted crystal arrow flying past. Nice little sail.
Yeah, and the biggest kind of thing that you mentioned there is that the fact that the Rage Blade coming out on the Varus this early, 13 minutes, when Ashe is sporting nothing but a Zeal and a BF sword. That is not good news for your bottom lane there. Pretty much any fight that they get into, they're going to lose, especially considering Ashe just fired her arrow into nothingness. So they have all the time in the world to go aggressive here.
Sejuani's still hanging around bot side though. They looks like BFG are looking for something. Ashe uses herself as bait, as you said, but turned back as they spot Sejuani. Sejuani going in with that charge, still has an ultimate, does not decide to use it yet. Permafrost 4 stacks coming down. Still saving that ultimate. Finally uses on Nas as he teleports in, followed in by the Yorick also teleports and pops that main and miss finishes off that Alistair is going to work on the Nautilus. Will make short work of him, or will he? Only 2 stacks left. Permafrost looking for a 3rd stack. My god.
Definitely a good teleport follow there by Yorick to get into that fight, making a 4v3. Meanwhile, you trade out the mid tower there, which you're going to give up the bottom tower. Yep. Warwick is kind of looking bot. He could potentially solo out Ashe for sure, but I don't know if he can hit up Ashe and Yorick.
No,
Looks like he's just going to go bot to try to clear, but
Yorick very powerful with that high base damage. And Varus staying, gotta keep that CS up. You know, even if they lost the fight, Varus gotta get that CS, and as a result, still very far ahead of this Ashe. You look at the gold, he just has 1,000 gold over the Ashe. Just we see him straight up. No, using that gold lead. You also see negative numbers on the Sejuani. I suppose she just took futures market.
right. Yeah, she probably just purchased something that she needed to take out a nice little loan for, so she'll be paying that back in dividends here. What's interesting?
Hopefully so. As the 2 towers down on the side of Blackfire Gaming versus 1 tower down on the side of Rundown mid, both teams are looking to, you know, complete more turrets. I believe we're gonna see Rundown mid start group bot lane a little bit more, starting to want to take down that outer range turrets in preparation for that dragon.
Yeah, what you don't want to get caught doing if you are running down mid is first off get caught out like this.
Like that. This Voyage coming in with a CC chain just falling down onto Varus. However, Varus still staying alive. One last auto attack off the Ashe finishes him off, and the Alistair is eaten up. Doesn't matter if you don't take damage, you can still be CC'd. We're coming on the wall with the ultimate though, trying to take down the Ashe, and they will. They might be able to turn this fight. Warwick doing a lot more damage than Sejuani can. Just chasing down. Oh, Domiante gets that eats and gets the move speed off that E as well. However, cannot stop the CC. 4 stacks of Permafrost, 3 stacks of Devourer. Well, gives this Warwick severe. Who's Syndra? Now let's just throw me down. This Warwick popped the Blood Hunts, looking to just zone them off this turret. They will get this turret.
Yeah, he definitely wanted to try to catch them in between the towers there, but Nautilus and Syndra definitely weren't up fast enough to catch up to him. So even if he did tower dive, he would have been alone there and stuck, isolated, if you will. think the sign of saving grace of that entire fight was the fact that Varus, despite getting hit by all forms of CC, and that the Sejuani Glacial Prison and the Ash Crystal Arrow, still managed to survive the initial kind of burst long enough for Warwick to get there, who ended up flashing into the Ash in order to secure that kill, and then chase down the Sejuani, which would have been another kill had Tahm Kench not been in the game.
Tahm Kench, definitely a fun and interactive champion. Dragon coming up in 20 seconds. That is an Inferno Dragon. A dragon everybody loves to fight over. Nautilus, however, is still top. Doesn't have that teleport. And he's not a champion that is able to just push down turrets like Yorick can, so he should be roaming down soon enough.
Yeah, but soon enough is going to be pretty late here.
It's
going to take him about 40 seconds just to get to this dragon here. By the time it's going to be gone.
Yeah, running down. I don't want to give this up for free though. Yorick has that ultimate. Could just stun up the... Oh, misses. And Sejuani still gets the smite down. However, everybody is hit with Chains of Corruption. Oh my god, that Varus is just free firing out the backline. The health bars on side of the BFG are just melting. Nautilus is here, but only for, only show his pretty face. As the dragon goes over the side of BFG, but 4 kills to 1 for a side of Rundown Mid.
Yeah, the dragon trade for a tower mid lane tier 2 and 4 kills. I'm going to go ahead and call it not worth on that. It would have been really good on Varus, just for the on-head effects and just the damage, period. But that Rage Blade with the Berserker's Greaves doing tons of work as everybody was stuck the west side of the Dragon Pit there and forced to take full brunt of the full Rage Blade stack damage. Now, something I have noticed in the last 2 games is that nobody's taking Overhill and Relic anymore.
That's true. They did nerf that interaction by nerfing Relic Shield, so honestly it's just better to take Fleet Footwork and the other one, I believe, Triumph. Do people still take Triumph?
I don't know. More of a jungle main now.
Alright, Baron is up. However, it is only just 20 minutes. Baron has just spawned. It is a wee little Baron. And
this Nautilus is incredibly tanky though right now. I'm gonna go ahead and catch up with Tahm Kench, taking 0 damage for his effort.
Farm a little bit. Plus he has that Righteous Glory now, so soon we'll be able to see that Righteous Glory Nautilus. And here it is coming down. It's caught by that Dark Precision. Not what you want to see.
Yeah, and I think he kind of committed a little bit too far there. Wanted to go ahead and get in there. Saw that he might have had a chance to go ahead and make something happen, but once he got a little bit too far ahead of everybody else on his team.
It goes in for the hook, hits that Tahm Kench, but this Tahm Kench decides to turn the back on the Nautilus. Devours him. 2 stacks down on Permafrost. Sejuani however decides not to go in. It's the last 2 stacks, gets the hit down, but Local Express is too far ahead. Pops that thick skin for 1 health. Where it goes in with that ultimate onto the Sejuani. Onto the Ashen. Excuse, but a great Emperor's Divide keeps the Ash alive and keeps the Warwick off. However, meantime, this whole time, Yorick is just pushing down bot lane, forcing teleport out of the Nautilus, but Nautilus is not needed. These Chains of Corruption knocks down to 0. Without that Emperor's Divide, he just melts. And Yorick now forced back to save his lane. Great
They're just gonna keep on going.
Yeah, they just keep on going. This train does not stop, and a point just that Scatterweak hits by the skin of Ash's teeth, and Syndra can just walk up, press R, and goodbye 80 carry.
Yep, and that's the strength in Syndra there. It's just something we did not necessarily get to see last game. But as soon as you get into the range of the R, and especially if you dropped a few balls already in the chase, as Syndra, you just toss about 9 balls at the 80 carry, and they're doomed.
They're doomed indeed, and because they have Varus, they look to take this early. Baron, this golden looking Baron for the Lunar Revel. I do like that chroma very much. I'll call it chroma.
Yeah, I do too. The little variant here. The first time I saw it was actually this morning. Before I went ahead and took the Baron, I had to take a look at the skin itself and really kind of admire the work that Riot is doing with the skin quality these days.
Yeah, definitely. I did
But
buy one of
after
those skins myself. I ended up buying Lunar Revel Lux.
Oh,
Really
yes.
like it. It's like
So I actually had a question. What does Lux have to do with Lunar Rebel? You know, because I could understand that Warwick and Nasus
yep.
are kind of like, it's You're the dog,
It
right?
is Yours dog, indeed.
So what's Lux doing? I never couldn't
Well, you
couldn't
see,
find.
Lux is a. I think it's just because that Lux is a mascot for League of Legends,
Okay,
and it's just like remember how they used to give Annie all kinds of skins.
right.
I guess it's
It's the same situation.
Same situation.
I got you. Well, after receiving that Baron and taking down some members of the Blackfire Gaming group here, they went ahead and took down the inhibitor and the mid tower there. So mid is open. There's no real reason for them to run it down mid at this point. So they're going to head to the side lanes there and try to take this bot tower, it looks like, while Nautilus splits top. Which they will be at a disadvantage here because Azir does have his teleport up. But again, you don't want to teleport.
And there comes the unleash power onto the Kench. Could not even use his thick skin. Sejuani doesn't even have a thick skin to pop, and they end up popping her instead. Both tanks on the side of Blackfire Gaming are down. There is no wall left for the Ashe to hide behind, and Rundown Mid will get this inhibitor tower. They look to be sticking for this inhibitor as well. They look to just end this game very fast. They don't want to be here any longer than they have to. But back off, decide to take a safe route out.
Yeah, there's just a ton of damage coming out there from Run It Down mid as they tower dove that tower. For some reason, not everybody was actually underneath the tower. You had the Sejuani and the Tahm Kench, but
Ooh,
Ashe and Yorick were actually behind them at the next, not the Nexus tower, but the inhibitor tower for some reason. So maybe a missed call there that led to another inhibitor being taken by Running Down mid. And I can only venture to guess that they're going to go back, reset, and head back to the top lane to push down the final inhibitor here.
And this time, Run Down Mid end up getting their first dragon, the dragon of their own. Next dragon to spawn will be Inferno, so you might see another fight pop out there if the game is not over already by then. This Baron will come up soon, I believe in 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where Run It Down mid is, I mean, they're ahead by 10,000 gold. They have a commanding lead. Basically, when they get a lead, we've watched them, and we can kind of surmise from the last game that they're just going to keep on pressing their advantage and keep it up, become kind of relentless in their attack. And if you're a little bit too scattered, then
A bit too scattered indeed. Sidra scattering away. Tomcat.
Yep, and it looked like Warwick was kind of interested in engaging
they're
there,
looking for
but
something.
he didn't quite get it. But
That's
here
looking to
comes
engage too. Here comes the Nautilus
Blood.
using that perfectly timed Devour saves Ashe barely, and another Crystero saves her as well. Ashe just trying her best just to stay alive, forget doing damage. They instead turn onto the Sejuani. Warwick gets traded out in the end. Ashe is still alive. 3 men pulverize. The Sand Soldiers keeping away the Ashe. Oh my god, this Tomcat is doing work for his team.
Yep. But notice, and not to demoralize anybody here, but Varus was at the remaining top tier 2 tower just taking it the whole time.
I'm sure the whole time. That was without the AD carry, without the carry of this team. Now the carry of this team is here, but however he is low. Decides to do a little bit of damage as Azir pops his Hourglass, his stopwatch power, my bad. But Azir doesn't have that, Sand Soldiers does not have the damage. This players are just running down everybody, stun lands onto the Ashe. There is no Devour this time, Devour was already used. They have to just try to walk out on their own 2 feet now.
And you have to wonder exactly what Yorick is doing here, trading a top tier 2 tower for inhibitor, and I mean, not just one inhibitor, all your inhibitors.
Rotating on second inhibitor, Warwick runs back with the Predator, actually stopping the back of Yorick in time. Now all inhibitors are down, this time at 22 minutes, even faster than last game.
And Yorick is actually going to fall for this as well.
Warwick actually going to take down the Yorick because there's just no man on the side of the Yorick. That is a tongue twister right there. Try to say that 5 times fast.
Baron only has 2 minutes left. We have a extremely healthy run it down mid team. We have in full panic Blackfire Gaming team here. I can only imagine that run it down mid is going to go ahead and secure that Baron again. And we're kind of placed in a similar situation like we were previously, in that last game, the only real chance that Blackfire Gaming had to get back into the game was to steal the Baron. That's the second Baron.
Yeah, for sure. And with the Baron coming up in 1 minute, everybody on the side of Rundown Mid went back, bought the items. They're fully ready to take this. We already see 3 items on the side of Rundown Mid for every single one of their champions.
Yep, and this is what they need to do here, is just casually stay on the outside of the base, push all the lanes in, and wait.
Cisco instead, Spectral Precision and Emperor's Divide both used. They used everything on the just mere instance that Unalus might continue on his own attack.
And the Varus is a little bit out of position here. Syndra getting clocked a little too hard by the Azir Sand Soldiers there. So they're going to all head up top.
Yeah. Now this side to
Baron.
however, they are a little bit damaged here. Syndra popping that's honey fruit, trying to heal a bit up. And this time Baron spawns. However, Blackfire Gaming, contrary to last time, they do rotate a little bit faster away from their base.
See, this is not a good idea here. This is going to be an easy pick.
He rotated by himself, the catfish. As a support, he cannot support himself. He supports his team, and now the Sejuani is on the side. She is on the other side, looking to take that Baron. Baron going down on 3,000 health, 2,000. They're timing their burst very well. Here comes the Glacial Prison, but Glacial Prison wasn't enough. There was no smite coming out from the Sejuani as well. Sejuani, to note, she has that's a little bit of a side note, going off track, but with that spellbook, she does have a teleport, so there are now 3 teleports on the side of Blackfire Gaming.
The only problem with that is you already lost the Tom Kench for free. You might as well not even try to steal it, because despite,
Oh my goodness.
it just got completely melted there. But despite the fact that stealing it was your pretty much only option there, the death timers are way too long, and so you put your team at a huge disadvantage against Baron.
Now with their command, they Rundown and try looking to just close out. Sejuani despawns now. However, she can only do so much without that ultimate. Decide to walk in to stop some of the minions. Emperor's Divide to try to stop the minions as well, but kind of stop the Varus from hitting down to 0. Varus just free hitting the back line. A great Aegis of the Iron Solari. I'm not even sure what that item is called. Keeps the members of Rundown Mid healthy, and that is a clean 2-0 for a side of Rundown Mid.
Lock it of the Iron Solari.
Lock it. Lock it and pop it.
Yep. And there we go. Just a quick 2-0 series there in the favor of Run It Down Mid, who honestly looked incredibly controlling and a force to be reckoned with in these 2 games, as Blackfire Gaming struggled to not only keep up but kind of pose any sort of real opposition to the team as they went forward and kind of conquered pretty easily.
Yeah, definitely. And that just goes to show that their record reflects well. And as a result, Run Down Mid will go up to, I believe, now 5-3 in their season, while Blackfire Gaming go down to 2-6. As a result, they are locked out of playoff contention. And Run Down Mid at 5-3 look to be very well poised to go into playoffs. We do have 12 teams making it into playoffs out of the potential 24.
Ah, gotcha. Yep, mathematically disqualified, I believe, is the wording for that, but
Yeah, definitely, and a depressing thought for these members.
yep. The only thing you can really do now is just prepare yourself for next season as players and as a team. If you elect to come back as a full team, I don't know if you can actually do that or not, but
I believe you can. Yeah. Of course, they could still try to make their season a little bit better. Try to end on a victory on a high note. Coming in next week, BFG will be playing against UOP, and RDM, looking to really secure that playoff spots, will be coming against RPO.
very interesting. Should be very awesome games to look forward to and watch. If not streamed, but might be recorded for you guys to check out.
Definitely.
Video on demand.
We will come back tomorrow with our Champions League game. You can vote for that on the Risen Esports Discord, also at 7 p.m. EST. And Dominate League will be back again, same time next week, 7 p.m. EST. It will be Poros on Patrol versus Screaming Suns Gaming. And we will see you next week. Have a good night.